Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of my podcast. We have a special guest today, all the way from Sydney, Australia. We have Bradley Smith of Cambridge. Hi, Bradley.
How are you, dude?
I'm good. How about you?
Yeah, good. Just keeping on. Enjoying the world's in its current state is a bit hard, but making the best of everything.
Yeah. So, how's the situation in Sydney nowadays with the COVID and everything?
Yeah, look, to be honest, it's getting better here. It's not that crazy anymore. It's still obviously bad, but we can still have band practice. We can go to the pub. We can do a few things. We're not locked up. It's a bit worse for our brothers down in Melbourne. They're in a bit of a tough position at the moment. So don't want to brag about Sydney too much, but yeah, we're doing all right.
Right. So this lockdown period, it's been quite long. So what you've been doing on these lockdown months?
Lots of Netflix, watching TV. I was working till not that long ago, just from home and stuff like that. But yeah, just lots of Netflix, hanging out, video games, just trying to keep sane, kind of thing.
Right. So I got to know Cambridge when you guys performed here. I think in 2017, we had a pop punk weekend.
Yep.
Where I first met you. Then I've been listening to some of the songs. So Brad, can you tell me a little bit about your childhood and how did you get into music?
Yeah, so music for me, it's actually kind of weird because it had nothing to do with pop punk as a kid. When I was young, my uncle, he's not that much older than me, probably about 13 years older than me. He was heavily into rap. So your NWA, Naughty by Nature, all that kind of stuff. Snoop Dogg, Tupac, all that. So I kind of grew up with that kind of music. It was only once I hit my teenage years that I kind of went, oh, Blink-182, this is music that I like. Blink-182 and New Found Glory, all that kind of thing. And then that's when I kind of really had that big flip and stopped. I still listen to rap music, stuff like that, but I had a bit of a change there. I also grew up with more stuff like Michael Jackson and those older, I guess, growing up in the 80s and 90s, late 80s, early 90s, a lot of it was that pop music kind of thing as well.
Right. So
Yeah.
when did you discover that you can sing?
I think it just came from singing along to other bands and stuff like that. Right. Obviously, once I found pop punk, I kind of just went, I really want to sing like Tom DeLonge, or I really want to sing like Jordan from Newfound. Right. So I guess I kind of just, from singing those songs and back and forward, singing at school, in things like that. And I guess I just learned that I could sing good enough. I was like, I can sing this kind of music. I'm not Bruno Mars by any means, or being able to sing like that. But I was like, I can sing this kind of music that I like, and it works.
Right. So, how was the scene back then? Punk scene or pop punk scene back then in Sydney?
Back then, when I was like in school, there really wasn't one. Not that I knew of. There were a lot of bands from Australia that were kind of cool that I used to love back then, like Body Jar, Last Year's Hero, $1 Short, and things like that. And they were from like when I was in my late teens and really starting to kind of want to do it myself kind of thing as well. Then there was a bit of an explosion in my late teens where pop punk was the cool thing in Australia. Never to the level where it was the most mainstream there wasn't bands the size of Blink-182 from here or anything like that. But the local scene, which I kind of came up in, really started to explode. And that was when I guess I got my chance with bands that I started back then to really have a go kind of thing and play with some of the cool bands that I grew up with.
Right. One thing I like about pop punk is you can actually sing the songs.
Yeah, it's not all. It's not all.
Because my friends actually, I go to a lot of metal shows, and then
Yeah.
and then they see me at pop punk shows, and then they kind of give me a hard
Well,
time. But
that was what was really funny about the bands I was in as well. A lot of our friends' bands, we didn't have many pop punk band friends,
right.
other bands, so we used to just tour with those heavier hardcore bands and things like that. So I know exactly what you mean.
So Brad, when did you like first performed in front of a crowd?
Yeah, so we had like some school band kind of things in our music class. I kind of made a band with some friends out of that whilst I was in school, but nothing really too crazy there. That was just like playing at assemblies and stuff like that. Really, I started a band called For What It's Worth when I left high school, when I finished high school. That was my first real band that I thought were going to be the biggest band in the world. Obviously, that wasn't a thing, but that was kind of my first band that I started playing shows and trying to do everything I could, get T-shirts made, things like that. And that was a fun time in my life. In hindsight, we weren't really that good, but we had lots of fun, and that was kind of my first avenue into it. From there, when that all ended, I started a band called Heroes for Hire with some of the dudes that I'm in Cambridge with now, the first incarnation of Heroes for Hire. And that didn't take off at the start because the other boys kind of wanted to do some other things with work and their careers and things like that at the time. So then I got in some new people in Heroes for Hire, and Heroes for Hire was relatively successful for me and my music career. We did a lot of touring. We have actually, Heroes for Hire never came to the Philippines, but we toured through Southeast Asia, Japan, all over Australia and things like that. That kind of went for a steady amount of time. We played some big festivals, things like Soundwave Festival, which I guess is kind of like Bazooka Rocks, but in Australia, but also on a lot bigger scale. Yeah, that was a great time as well. But then when that inevitably ended, then that's when I came into Cambridge and haven't looked back, kind of thing.
So you formed Cambridge, or you joined Cambridge?
So when I finished with Heroes for Hire, I was kind of a bit done with music. I was like, nah, I've had a go. I'll go get a job at a desk and hang out at home. But then those guys that I said to you that I did initially start Heroes for Hire, Rooney and Young and Dave and Josh at the time, they kind of rang me, had a chat, and we decided that we wanted to start a band. Rooney, who's probably my best friend in the band, he was in Mexico at the time. He actually didn't know that we were going to start a band. We kind of just put him in there, which is happy for me because I get to hang out with him more. But we kind of just decided to just see where it took us. We didn't go in it with any aspirations to do a lot. We just wanted to hang out and play music. And lucky for us, with Cambridge, we've got to do a lot of cool things so far. And hopefully, once the world gets back to normal, then we can do a lot more cool things.
So why the name Cambridge?
It's actually really funny. So I used to do a thing where when people asked me why we were called Cambridge, I used to just make something up different every time, so that there was no real reason. Like I think once I said that I met Prince William at a bar, and he was the Duke of Cambridge. So I said that, and I just lied every time. But the real reason isn't that special or funny. We started the band. We had no name. We were writing demos and stuff to do a release, and we got offered a show 2 weeks after starting the band, and we were at Rooney's house in a place in Sydney called Cambridge Park, which isn't a great, like, it's not a super known suburb or anything. So we just took the word park off it and said Cambridge because we needed a name to play this show. So it was the first thing we thought of, and that's what we went with.
So when Cambridge started, so what were you like? What bands you were influenced by for Cambridge?
With my vocals, where it's going to be hard to not always be somewhat influenced by Newfound Glory.
Right.
Jordan's my favorite singer, kind of thing. It's just what I learnt to sing like, kind of thing. But we all bring different aspects of what we like. So for me, I'm a big fan of your Newfound Glory, Mayday Parade, bands like that. Rooney and Youngin are really influenced by bands like Anne Boleyn, Census Fail, things like that. But then you've got newer guys like Cam, the guitarist. He is super influenced by older bands that he used to love, like Strung Out and stuff like that. So we kind of a big mixed bag where we all kind of take parts from everything we do, kind of thing, and then just the world around us.
Right. So Brad, what I think you put out your first single in 2013.
Yep.
Can you tell me a little bit about recording that single?
So that one was Black Dress, I think.
Dress, yeah.
I'm just trying to think. It's actually gone pretty fast since we started. Black Dress, we wrote with a friend of ours. His name's Reese Maston. He's kind of more on a pop guy over here. He won X Factor, that kind of thing over here, and we went into his studio and kind of did a little bit back and forth with that. That obviously sat more on the pop side of things. We don't actually play it anymore. We haven't played it for a while, kind of thing. But it was a fun song at the time. It's a dancey song. We just kind of wanted something there, upbeat and a bit of fun to kick things off with. But yeah, so it's just something we did with him and kind of got the ball rolling.
Right. So after 1 year, you put out your full-length album, right?
Yeah.
Rebuild.
Yep.
I really like some of those songs. Like you did Head Over Heels, right? You had Danny as a guest from audition.
Yep.
It's pretty cool video, huh?
Yeah, well, it's actually a funny story, that video. So we had booked in the video clip. We didn't really have an idea for the video clip, right, but we had already booked in the people to film it and stuff like that. And I guess at the last minute, we decided, okay, we'll do this thing where we get hurt and stuff thrown at us and hit. And we were all cool with that idea. But we didn't think of the date at all of when we were filming. And it turns out that it was the day after Anzac Day. Anzac Day or Australia Day? Possibly Australia Day. So the day before it, we had all been out and drinking a lot together. And I mean a lot. So the day of the video clip, we were all so hungover. Like horribly hungover, and it was a really hot day. So you can imagine all hungover, feeling horrible. It's super hot day, so everyone's just sweating out alcohol, and then getting hit in the face with like a massive fish,
Right.
or hitting the head with a light globe, where the glass then sticks into your hair and can't get it out. And it, in all honesty, it was the worst day of my life. um, but it turned out cool, and we were happy with it in the end. But yeah, it was a tough day to get through.
Yeah, but the video turned out great, right?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It turned out good, so it was all right. I would have been so angry if it turned out horrible, and we would have been like, "Oh my god, we did all that, and it like it looks crap."
I remember one more song from that. You guys also performed it. I think you opened it when you performed in Manila,
Yep.
Catalina Wine Mixer.
Yep.
You know what? It reminds me that when you say Catalina Wine Mixer, have you seen the movie Step Brothers?
Well, that's why it's called that, because that's our favorite movie as a
Yeah.
whole. Like, in all honesty, it has the song title has absolutely nothing to do with the song. There's no reference or anything. We just wanted to name something after Step Brothers.
Yeah, because I always watch that scene where they sing on they from the Step Brothers. It's really funny.
Yeah, it's a great movie. So that's why we all just sit there quoting it all the time.
uh, Brad, one of my favorite songs of I've been even it's been in my mind for a couple of days now. I've been listening to it. I Could Change. Uh,
Yep.
can you tell me the story behind this song?
Um, it's so it's not directly about us, but I guess it's just about the idea of um, just people that all the time say, yeah, I can do better. I can do better. I'm sorry for all the things I've done. I won't do it again. And usually they just do the same things over and over again. Not so much in a bad way, but it's like, okay, I won't go out and get drunk again on a school night.
Right.
And the next week they're drunk again on a school night. So it's just really about those minor habits that people always say, oh, I can do better at this, and then they don't end up doing it. They just kind of saying it just to appease whoever they're telling they can change to. But it's one of my favorite songs as well. It's one of my favorite songs to play live, because it usually just revs the whole crowd up. We can get some circle pits, we can jump around. But yeah, I'm glad you like that one, because it is a fun one.
Yeah. So with Cambridge, so you performed, you toured. What countries did you tour with Cambridge?
So with Cambridge, we've actually only done Australia, and then we came to Singapore with Newfound Glory.
Right.
So we toured Singapore with Newfound Glory, which was a big tick off the bucket list for me. Because as I said, the last band, we did a lot of big tours. We played with almost every band you can imagine, but I never got to play with Newfound Glory,
Right.
which was always crazy to me, especially because Steve, that used to be in Newfound Glory, actually produced one of the records for my old band, and never got to play with them. So getting to play with them was huge for me with Cambridge. And then other than that, we came to the Philippines. You saw us on Bazooka Rocks, but actually probably 3 months into being Cambridge, we actually toured the Philippines again before Bazooka Rocks for the first time. We came over with our friend Nick from Nick Automatic Clothing.
Right.
So Nick actually brought us over for the anniversary of his clothing line. And we actually stayed over for a while that time. With Bazooka Rocks, we were only in town for 3 days, but the first time we came over, we were in the Philippines for 2 weeks. We played down in Cebu, Then we had some days off with a lot of drinking of Tendaway. And then we came up to Manila and played a couple of shows in Manila as well.
Yeah, because one of your videos, I saw this graffiti on one of the live videos.
Yeah.
I that is very recognizable that it's Philippines, because I think it's from this one of these artists that
Oh, okay.
it appears there. So I thought, you could have probably played the different venue
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. The first time we came to Manila was crazy. We went because we were there for 2 weeks. And we had a lot of days off. It was kind of cool. We went and got like swum with whale sharks and just did all random stuff. Youngin, our drummer, on the first night we were there, we drank too much and he fell off a chair and broke his face on the ground and had to go to hospital on the first night. So if that's any indication, that's what the first time was like.
What were your first impressions when you came to the Philippines?
It was just a lot different because, as I said, it was like the 3rd month of us being a band.
Right.
Some kids that came out had known my old band that we hadn't got to come over with. But it's just the fact that the Filipinos, you guys love music. And it doesn't seem like, well, from our side of things, it doesn't seem like as much. Whereas in Australia, it's like, well, I like this band and I'll only go see this band. A lot of Filipinos will go, I just want to go to a show. And it doesn't matter if it's pop punk or metal. I just want to go hang out and listen to music. So we could come over there and headline most shows as a relatively brand new band with only a handful of songs on the internet. And a lot of kids came out and a lot of people came out and we got to hang out and have fun. And the shows, it wasn't like we were playing to 2 people. We got to actually have fun and hang out with people. So that's what I guess stuck out to us with the Philippines and why we wanted to come back so much as we did, like jump through hoops to come back over again.
Right. So this 2017, you played on the same day with State Champs and with Confidence.
Yeah.
How about playing that show? And I believe there were a lot of people actually, right?
Yeah, it was a big show. So there's multiple ways of why this was such a cool show for us. First of all, that first time that we came over, my friend Fakayo, he was in a band called Tonight Alive at the time. He was like, "Oh, see." Oh, I didn't even notice. So Fakayo was like, "Oh, you're in the Philippines." We were over there and with a guy named Vernon. So he goes, "You guys should hang out while you're there." So on one of the off days in Manila, we actually, Youngin and I went into Pulp and did an interview for the magazine and then went out for some beers with Vernon. Probably too many beers. It wasn't even an off day. We had a show later that night. And I think he just got me drunk before my show. So we hung out there and that's how we grew that connection. So later on, when I knew that he was doing a pop punk Bazooka Rocks, that's when I reached out to him because obviously we're still a relatively smaller band than the other bands that were playing. One night was the main, then you had State Champs and With Confidence. Another thing that helped us was we're really close friends with Confidence. I've known Josh, the drummer, since he was 6 years old. So we're really close and we do a lot of work with Jaden in production and things like that. So doing that was cool with them. And then State Champs, I had a friendship with back and forward through just stuff that we'd met over the years and done things. So it was the perfect choice for us to go on to that night. Even though the Main are one of the best bands in the world, that night would have been great as well. But I think we just suited that second night more because it was just that more pump up pop punk night where everyone was there to go a little bit crazy, and I think that's what we did that night. Everyone went a bit crazy. But yeah, it was just a great show, and it was great to come over and realistically play to a whole new crowd in Manila. Even though we had played there before, we played more to that underground punky crew of kids that turned out in a pouring rain and came to a show on that underground level, whereas this was that more mainstream, bigger crowd, but maybe kids that wouldn't go usually to that smaller punk show. So that's why it was great for us. And as I said, it's probably one of my top 5 shows that I've ever played in my life.
Right. So your last record, you had an EP in 2016, and then recently you put out your new single 2020.
Yes, in 2020 we've put 2 songs out. The EP, the 28 years ago EP, that was kind of a bit of a transition for us. We just wanted to try a few different things. I love it, but I don't know if it was what we were ready to do at the time. So we kind of just put that out. As I said, some of the songs don't really, trying to think of the word, they don't go great live, because they made they're not as fun to play live or things like that. So we kind of moved on from that and went back to what we loved doing rather than trying to change just for the fun of it. And then that's when we came out with our 2 new singles. So we had Down and Out at the start of the year, and that we worked with Jaden from WithCon on that, on both these singles actually. And just as we were ready to release Down and Out, which we thought, okay, this is going to be fun. We can tour with this. People will be able to jump around and have a bit of fun. It's about not giving up. Like after everything we've been through, it's about keep kicking on and just have fun what you're doing. We actually, at the very last minute, just as it was coming out, we signed a record deal off that song with our current record company called Teamwork Records. And we kind of made a deal with them that the world's a bit different now. And it's still cool to release albums and stuff like that. But with the lives that we all have, the rest of the band with full-time jobs and families and houses and stuff like that to pay off, we've kind of taken a different direction where we're not aiming to release albums as such at the moment. We're more so sticking to just releasing a single every couple of months, as something new for the band, but then also just something new for the fans, and people that like our band. Rather than giving them an album all in one go, they listen to it and then they'll listen to their 2 favorite songs, and the rest kind of gets lost in the mix. So why not just release a new single every 2 months and give them something new to listen to every 2 months? So then that's why then we followed up with I Found You. It's a bit of a cute love song, but also a little bit more mature for us than what we usually do. And I personally think it's probably one of the best songs that we've released musically and lyrically. But then also Down and Out, as I said, is probably one of our best songs we've released as a fun party song kind of thing.
Right. So currently, of course, before the COVID. So how was the scene in Sydney now compared to back then?
Look, the Sydney scene was, I personally think, on the cusp of doing something big, really about to blow up. Like in Australia, again, we've had some really lucky bands really start to kick off here in recent times, like Stand Atlantic, yours truly, obviously WithCon. So there's a lot of bands. That's just in the pop punk scene. Like even on the hardcore scene, you got bands like Heists and Life's Ill and all these other bands that are slowly starting to grow to bigger points where they're pulling shows where they're pulling 200, 300 kids themselves. And the scene was almost starting to replicate what it did back when my old band first initially kicked off. So it was a really exciting time locally and like within Sydney, and then also just Australia as a whole. And then the nasty COVID hit, and we could be back at square one, but I feel like everyone's just having to figure it out. I guess the only good thing you can say is it's a bit cheesy, but we're all in it together. We all kind of, it doesn't matter if you're the biggest artist in the world. Yeah, that's great because you're still probably making lots of money, but no one can tour, which at the end of the day is how musicians live, is that touring life. But I guess, yeah, as I said, we're all kind of in that same spot. And once we finally do overcome it, I think it's going to be like a phoenix, like everything can rise again. And I feel like there's going to be so many opportunities for bands. There's going to be so many shows because everyone's going to want to go to every show imaginable just to get out of the house. So I'm really looking forward to that time. Fingers crossed it's sooner rather than later. But there's just going to be so many opportunities, and I think Sydney's local scene are just about ready for it.
Right. What do you think about the live streams?
So I like it when you're a band that can pull it off. It's weird to say, like I'll watch Newfound Glory do one. I'll watch bands like that do one, and it's cool because they've got all the equipment needed to sound great. They've got all the, like, if I just set my band up in this room here now and put it on Zoom, it's not going to sound great, and it's not going to work. Also, maybe 20 people will sign in, and half of that being my mum and dad and some friends. So I feel like go for it if it's beneficial for your band. I think there's just that fine line though, of what's beneficial and what's not. But people are making it work. As I said, like as humans, we all, once our backs are against the wall, we kind of all have to make a decision and go, okay, what can we do? Like I still want to play music. So I think once we come out of this, we're going to be in a boom of new music as well, because what else can they do but write new music? Right. And that's why everyone's going to want to tour then as well. So they're going to have all this new music and all be ready to go. But yeah, with the live streams, I just think it's good for some bands and maybe not so good for some others, but if it works for you.
Yeah, because when I see a lot of live streams, I wasn't really into it, but there were like a couple of great shows. Like I don't know if you know the band Behemoth. They put out like a massive. That was like that almost like watching a movie because they done it so well.
It's like a pre-recorded thing rather than a.
No, it was actually live. But
but it looks more cinematic and pre-recorded.
A lot of cams and different views.
Yeah, rather. Well, like bands like Hands Like Houses are some of my real good mates. They were one of the first bands to do it. A bit like actually putting in a full production with it, and it was fantastic. But they also have that pedestal where that platform where it is really beneficial for them because they do have such a worldwide market. I guess I also like more so if bands are going to do it and they do have enough following to make it in more of a situation like this where the singer might have an acoustic guitar and play some acoustic versions of a song, but it's more of a question and answer, and they can actually spend time with their fans that they might not usually do. on a tour, other than the 5 seconds they'll see them after a show or something like that. So I find that aspect really cool. Like, it's making a lot bigger bands, or even those mid-sized bands, come down to hear and actually interact with their fans and followers and things like that.
Right. So Brad, one thing I noticed from your Facebook, and I'm looking at your shirt. So you are a WWE fan, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the only one in my band that loves it. But I yeah, I I've been to 2 WrestleManias. I've been to a Royal Rumble, and yeah, I've just loved it since I was a kid.
Right.
That show aspect of things.
Who's your who is your most favorite wrestler? If you
Of
have to
all
choose.
time,
Yeah.
of all time, it's Stone Cold Steve Austin,
Right.
because I love beer, and there's so many videos on the internet and pictures of me. If I have 2 cans of, I can never have 2 cans of beer in my hand, or it definitely ends up in like the Stone Cold Smash and beer all over me. Even on, I always find it a lot. I think growing up watching wrestling and stuff actually helped me in my music as well, because of just how I talk on stage, how I move on stage, because just the showmanship of wrestling, I've always tried to bring into the music side of things for me as well.
Right. Yeah.
But
Because
yeah, Stone Cold number 1, but very, very, very closely followed by The Rock.
yeah, I've been a fan also back then, and then recently, maybe a few years
Yeah, I think I
ago,
might.
my son who's like, uh, oh, let's wait for Brad. Oh, you
Like
get
the Undertaker, is back from the dead.
yeah. I was actually a fan back then because I used to watch a lot of wrestling, and then over years it got kind of it wasn't that good, and then recently few years
Look,
ago,
look,
yeah.
I still watch it. Maybe not as regularly, but I still keep up to date with all of it. Just kind of, and then watch kind of the big shows. But there's still wrestlers that I love now in the new era, like Kevin Owens and Adam
Right.
Cole and things like that. So yeah, but yeah, I love the merch aspect of it as well.
Right.
Like obviously like this. So this shirt is actually a funny story behind it. I really wanted this shirt when I was like 10 years old.
Right.
Um, but my mum said no because it was violent, wrestling, things like that. And last year, I think I was in America, uh, with my girlfriend we actually went to the Royal Rumble that year. And on the last day of the trip, we were in LA, and I walked into a secondhand store, like a more expensive secondhand store, a reseller.
Right.
And he had wrestling shirts, and I'm going through them. There's about 50 shirts there, and I'm looking. And I kid you not, the only shirt in my size was this shirt that I wanted when I was 10 years old. And I was like, I have my own money now. No one can tell me no. And like, I kid you not, this shirt was like $100. Like, it was expensive as, but I was like, I don't care. This is the shirt I've always wanted, and I finally got it. And in my size, it's a sign.
So Brad, what's the upcoming plans for the band?
So we've got the next songs written, ready to go. We're just looking for time to get back in the studio, which shouldn't be that long. We're kind of in the process of getting that going now, to record some new songs, and then hopefully we'll have at least another single out before the end of the year. That's a kind of definite. We want to have at least one song out by the end of this year.
Oh,
And then hopefully we can play a show or two. We don't know what the situation is. We do know there's a few cool venues in Sydney. One especially called Crowbar in Sydney, and they're like the heart of live music for the local scene in Sydney and for touring bands for a venue in Sydney. And they're kind of starting to do like a 75 people capacity, but you have to be seated at tables. They're doing those kind of shows. So we're really hoping to at least jump on one of those just so we get that feeling of playing live again. It's actually really funny. I've always, the whole time I've played music, hated band practice. Like, I don't like going to band practice. Like, I've never liked it. But now we practice once a fortnight just to play music, and it's my favorite time. Like, we have it tomorrow, and I'm like, oh, I wish it was today. It's just so I can have some beers with my friends and play some music kind of thing. So hopefully everything goes to plan. We can at least play a show or two before the end of the year.
right. So Brad, what's your message to your fans, especially the Filipino fans?
Look, I'm not gonna lie to you. The Filipino fans are our favorite fans. Like, it's my favorite country to tour. Definitely when all COVID goes away, I'll be emailing Vernon every day, or I'll even be emailing Nick, whoever wants to take us. I'll be like, come on, let's come on. We'll pay our own way if we have to. We'll just let's come. So a message to just our Filipino fans is like, first of all, thank you. They've always been so open to giving us a chance. They were the first. The Philippines was the first country to give Cambridge a chance before Australia even. So thank you for that. And they're always the first kids to ask us when we're coming back and supporting our new songs. So thank you for that also. And the message to them is, trust me, we're going to do whatever we can to get back there as soon as possible. As long as we can get rid of this COVID thing and we're allowed to fly again, then we'll be back as soon as possible.
Right. Brad, anybody you want to shout out to?
Hi to my mum. No, I'm kidding. Just not really. Hi to just everyone, and I hope we see everyone soon. And go listen to some cool bands while you can, because everyone's out there trying their best. Buy a t-shirt, even just stream their songs on Spotify a million times for them so that they can earn their 0.001 cent per time you listen to it. So, like, it's really just a time where the whole music community, we all need to just stick together and help each other out. And yeah, so go listen to bands, go listen to Stan Atlantic, go listen to Heist, go listen to Life's Ill, go listen to So-So, listen to Cambridge, please, because I'm very, very, very poor. The more you listen, I might be able to buy a can of Coke. But yeah, so just go check out all those bands and do your best.
Right. So Brad, thank you for joining this morning. It was really fun to talk to you.
No worries, dude. Hopefully we can do it again soon once we've got something new happening and we can talk about the coming tour of the Philippines, and then we can drink all the Tendue together. Even when I say that to you now, I start to like shake because I think of my inside just burning inside.
Right. Yeah. So looking forward to the new songs, Brad. So hopefully we can see you again live soon.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Cambridge, brought to you by Tendue. The tour, it's coming. Maybe Tendue will tour us next time. That'll be even better.
Right. So Brad, tell everyone how they can follow you and the band.
So we have links. I don't know what they are. We have Just on Facebook under Cambridge Band. We have Instagram. I think it's Cambridge Band 13. I think. Let me just. Cambridge AUST on Instagram. So I'm all about it. I know all the information ready to go. So Cambridge AUST on Facebook. They're probably the two that we use the most. So come say hi on there. We run them all ourselves. So we usually are up to talking to anyone on them. So yeah, hit us up.
Okay. So that's Bradley Smith from Cambridge, from Sydney, Australia. Thanks, Brad.
Thanks, buddy. Have a good one.